Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here for the last day of the Art Witch August challenge. And guys, today's prompt is in the stars, and the challenge for today was the witch's choice, which means it's whatever I want, or in your case, whatever you want. And I decided to go with the entire color wheel. That's right, we're doing the rainbow. But I also decided to work in an analogous sort of way, so the colors are kind of next to each other on the wheel, depending on how I felt, because I wanted it to be very vibrant, and I didn't want the colors to get muddy as I was working. And I'm still working on that double-sided archival matte photo paper, because I'm trying to get rid of it, for no other reason. It's not necessary. You can do this on a piece of cardstock. And I'm just working in with my distress inks by like rubbing them down to get some of the texture of the ink pad, and then going back through with my distress tool, not to actually blend anything, honestly, because like I mentioned in the other video where I worked with this paper, it absorbs the ink very quickly when you put it down on here, but mostly just to get the wet spots off of this paper so that I don't end up smearing it all over my hands and surfaces. That's essentially what the distress tool is doing. It is doing a little bit of blending, like, because oxide does dry a little bit slower than regular ink, but it was mostly just sort of get the wetness out and work the color into the paper, not an essential thing. If you want your pieces to be more blended, by all means. I wanted a really rough sort of look to the colors here because I wanted that. There's really no reason for it. But can you guys believe today is the last day of Art Witch August? This has been a really fun week. I have loved this. Loved this. It's been a lot of fun. I definitely really liked this challenge. It made me think outside of the box in ways that I don't typically do, and I was really surprised by. So, you know, that's what I think. You let me know what you guys think. Have you been following along? Have you been seeing the stuff that other people have been making? Don't forget, if you are participating in the challenge at the time of this recording, if you finish all 7 days, and make sure that you use the hashtag artwitchaugust, and that I see your post. If I'm not commenting, I'm not seeing. You can be entered to win a giveaway. I'm going to do a giveaway, a little drawing at the end of this, so definitely wrap it up. I'll give you like a day to get your stuff posted, and then I will be drawing a winner, and somebody will win a little prize for participating. It's just a little fun thing. There's not a contest or anything. It's just a giveaway. Because, you know, I like hosting these challenges. I think it's fun, and I think sharing stuff is also fun. And the giveaway is open internationally, so if you are international, do not be afraid. You can join. And you have till the day after this video goes up to get your prompts in. So I'm going back through with those liquid acrylic fabric paints that I still have not looked up the name of, on top of them. So the distress oxide was our first layer. This is our second layer, and I'm adding in some water so that they get a nice like spread around watercolor effect, and using the same colors that I used on the base layer onto that layer. And then I'm just going to set them aside to dry so that we have a couple different layers of color. These colors are actually a little bit translucent, so you'll still see some of that oxide ink and stuff through it, and you'll get a really nice effect with this. And again, you can replicate this effect by watering down acrylic paints, or even using a watercolor paint. It'll be a little bit different if you use a watercolor paint, but because we're using a photo paper, the distress oxide underneath isn't really reactivating. It's staying exactly where it is, so we're getting a very muted color on the bottom and a very vibrant color on the top, and it works really great. And then what am I doing? I don't remember. Oh, I'm struggling. That's what I'm doing. Oh, okay, we're going to add in some black splatters, because I want this to match essentially everything else that I made this week, and some of the stuff I made has black splattery effects or black in it, and because it's all going in the same journal, so that's why it has to match. Yours doesn't have to match, but I do like the black splatters. I think they add a little bit of fun to the background, and sort of break up the color a little bit here and there. And so essentially that's all I'm doing. I'm going to add those in, let the paper dry, and then we're gonna do some fun stuff, because the prompt is in the stars, and I took that literally. Absolutely literally, and you guys will see that in a second, not right now. What I'm going to do, though, is get some embossing powder out. I have some black embossing powder, and I tried to emboss on top of this photo paper, but then forgot what I've been telling you guys is that this paper sucks up ink really quickly, so it sucked up the Versamark ink really quickly, and so I wasn't getting a good impression, so I just got a regular piece of cardstock. So absolutely this can be done on regular cardstock, and should be done on regular cardstock because it won't work on the photo paper. And then I'm going to go through the process of stamping out this stamp set and inking it up, or embossing it up, I guess, better appropriate, with some black embossing powder, so that I get this really nice, like, contrast of stark black and white images to go on top of our very vibrant, colorful backgrounds. And I really love the juxtaposition of this. It gives it a very, like, pop art sort of feel, and I really like it. You guys will see how it comes together at the end. But I went from thinking the crystals were my favorite piece to these being my favorite piece. And then wanting to recreate the style on everything that I've made so far. But I really do love how this came out. These stamps are particularly like art and inspiration sort of theme, so it works really well for this whole process. And you could do this with anything, honestly. Like, this is a fun technique to try with anything else with a colorful background and just some, like, black and white embossing. You could even do this in the reverse, in the negative, with black paper and white embossing powder. That would be a really cool effect to get, and it's a fun way to play with colors and the absence of color, I think. And I think that you guys will enjoy this and trying this out for yourselves. And then I don't think I make you watch me do it, but I end up fussy cutting all these images out so that I can apply them to our projects. Hopefully I don't make you watch me do it all, because that was a lot of fussy cutting. You might think that Smokey was not a guest star in today's episode, but he was. He just wasn't hogging the screen. I got some screen time this time, so that was really nice of him to be so generous and considerate. And share the screen with me, but he is still sitting in his little pile off screen on top of all the things that I am currently using to make things, because that's how he does. So what I'm doing here is taking the prompt very literally in the stars by doing actual stars. I'm making stars. And what I'm doing is holding the pencil very loosely and drawing really crazy. So I'm making these very wonky star shapes, trying to make sure that in the very least I measure them up so that the pieces that I'm using will fit on top of them. But I'm not being careful about trying to make sure that these are even or proportionate in any way, shape, or form. I want them to be wibbly wobbly all over the place. And I'm going to start out with some scissors here, and then remember the thing that I really honestly should have learned by now, but I'm cutting out geometric shapes, and I can absolutely use my craft knife for that. I have a sharp enough knife. It will cut these like butter, but I chose to use my scissors and struggle with my hand, with my dull scissors. And here's where I came to a logical conclusion and realized that I was being silly. I will say little tips on using your craft knife if you are cutting something out and you find that the edges are not detaching. Instead of trying to like twist and tear it out, cut it again. Run your knife back over it again. You'll get a much cleaner edge. If you end up like twisting it or trying to like wiggle it out of its space because it's attached by like just a little tiny little bit of paper, you're going to end up with a fuzzy edge. So if you want a very nice clean edge, cut it again. That is my best tip to you guys. Smokey has made his appearance, as you can see, because all the sharp things are on the table, so definitely had to make an appearance. But that's my best tip, is cut it again. You will not regret cutting it again. You will regret having fuzzy edges on your pieces. That will make you sad. And then I have to think of something to do with all these little scrappy bits of chipboard that I have left, because I'm doing this on chipboard because these are star tiles. I wanted to make art tiles, we made star tiles. Which, you know, was not my original intention, but it's where we are. You could achieve this same effect if you do not have chipboard with, like, food packaging, like cereal boxes, would work really well. It's a nice thin cardboard, so it's a lot easier to cut than chipboard. And then what you want to do is make sure that you are getting to the very tippy tips with your glue, so that everything gets a nice, like, adhered down, because the tips of these stars are very fine, so if they don't have glue on them, they won't catch that paper, and then you might end up accidentally missing the points or having the points like tear off or fall off, like, you know, like not fall off, separate. That's the word I'm thinking. They might end up separating because they're not like glued down well. So just make sure you're being very thorough when you're gluing. And here I was able to get 2 of the smaller stars on a single sheet, and then the bigger stars got their own sheet, which left me with a lot of scraps, which I end up turning into a project that I'm working on Patreon. So if you aren't on my Patreon, you could be, and you can see what I do with all the scraps from this project, because they were definitely too good to waste. So check it out. Shameless self-promotion. Here we go. And what I'm going to do is make sure that these get glued down. They get glued down well, and then I'm going to come back with my craft knife and cut them all back out, because I learned my lesson by this point in time. Honestly, you guys, this was really fun. It was a really easy project, pretty straightforward. Not as fiddly as the other projects I've done this week have been, so I was a little bit relieved that I didn't burden myself with something super heavy for the final day, because I definitely want to be able to enjoy everything that is going on for day 7. And I absolutely, like, I love this one so much. I love the colors. It's just, everything pops. And I'm going back through with some black ink to distress up the edges and also give them a nice frame. And I'm being really rough and really heavy-handed with my distressing, because for whatever reason, I didn't film it. But if you look at the thumbnail, you'll be able to see I did this. I had it in my brain that I was going to go around the edges with some, like, gold, like, wax to add to the framing of this star. And I don't know, I guess I figured I was done when I was recording. Granted, I was probably pretty tired at the time of filming, but I ended up doing that separately at a different point in time after I finished filming. But the reason I went so heavy-handed is, one, because I like the way that it looks with the black, but also I was going to add the gold to just the very outside edge, so it needed to be farther in so that you could see both the gold and the black. And then I just ended up going back and adding in our little cutout black and white pieces, and I love these. They're so fun. They're going to make really fun, like, elements for decorating ephemera. I think they would make fun, like, paper clips, or even, like, some of the bigger ones could be, like, cover pieces, or just fun little art tiles. They're going to be fun. I definitely have to think of some, like, cool little bits I can attach them to. They make fun closures for envelopes, I think, the most, because they're weighted, so they hold the top down pretty well. But I love them. Look how cool that is. I really love how this came out. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of Art Witch August, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed everything. I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me and Smokey, and that you've enjoyed seeing everything everyone has made. Thanks for hanging in for all 7 days, you guys. I will catch you for the next challenge. The next one will be coming in September. I don't know when. I will let you know. But that's going to be it for me, guys. I appreciate your faces. Happy crafting. Bye!